Aloha and welcome to Goddess Unleashed. This is Diane Vick, and on today's episode, I'm interviewing Kat. I will let her say her name because it's a little complicated for me, but she is amazing for my series, Courage and Compassion, because she really has a truth and powerful story about overcoming breast cancer, and she's a survivor ×3, which is amazing. So I'll let her introduce herself to you and let you know a little bit about herself. Welcome, Kat.
Thank you so much for having me on your show, Diane. And I have to warn everybody watching, welcome to my home. That's where I do my shows and I do the interviews with everyone else. And it is during the day. So you may see my husband walk by, you may see my cats show up, you may see a hummingbird fly past because I always have all the doors and windows open. I'm in California. So this is my home. Welcome to my home. And thank you so much for having me on your show. My name is Kathleen O'Keefe Canavas. You can find me if you Google the Queen of Dreams. And my friends all call me Kat, so I hope you will too.
That's amazing. Thank you. And I love that you're the queen of dreams because I have no idea what I dream. We were talking about it before we started. I've been going through this whole evolutionary process and healing my body and tackling stress, but for some reason, I haven't been able to tackle my dreams. So I'm excited to ask you a bunch of questions. But first off, let's start off with your story in your first book about overcoming cancer.
Sure, but I just wanted to say that a lot of people, especially people who are as sensitive as you are, after they speak with me about dreams, they start having them. So anybody who is listening in right now or watching, make sure tonight you put a pencil and paper beside your bed, because I can almost guarantee that you're going to have a dream for some reason. People have said that when they actually put my book, Dreams That Can Save Your Life, next to their bed, they start dreaming. And these are people who have not had dreams like all their life. So expect that to happen. And yes, I am a 3-time breast cancer survivor. And what makes my story a little bit different and is one of the reasons why I'm on the One Habit Summit and why I am also on Deepak Chopra's summit this coming week, which is called Never Alone, is because my dreams diagnosed my breast cancer when the doctors and the medical community and the tests on which they relied missed them. Not that, you know, I'm poo-pooing doctors. I'm not. My doctors saved my life, and so did my dreams. But sometimes with some women, mammograms don't always work. And unfortunately, because I was young, when I had that breast cancer, the mammograms, blood tests, and physical exams were not picking it up. But my spirit guides came into my dreams and told me I had the breast cancer and to go back to my doctors and request a second set of tests. And I had to really stand in my power and speak my truth to get them to do that. In fact, the first time I had to convince my doctor to do exploratory surgery, and I had to go into his office and convince him that yes, I really did have breast cancer and I really needed for him to do exploratory surgery. It took me 3 months of working with him to get him to finally do it. And by that time, I was in stage 2 with it in my lymph nodes. And, you know, he was shocked because none of the tests were showing it. So my message is our dreams are sacred doorways to divine messaging. We all have spirit guides and guardian angels. We're born with them. We're their job, and they really take that job seriously. So when we're in crisis, like right now with COVID and our jobs and our families, that's when our dreams come through the most. That's when our spirit guides and our guardian angels work with us the most, because we're in crisis. And they want us to know, no matter how dark the situation, we are never alone.
That is so beautiful. And I love that you say that we are surrounded by them. They're all around us, because that's a whole new concept for me. I come from the science world of nursing and how illness and disease is covered up by prescriptions and all this world. And then I came into the alternative realm, and now I get messages and numbers, and I see patterns in TV shows, and I you know, I see all these things that I didn't even notice before because I was blinded to them. So I love that now there's a possibility for me to get more messages in my dreams.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. Our dreams are an important part of our life. We're born with that gift, and we learn not to listen to them. Babies, puppies, kittens, birds, everything. Dreams, you see it twitching, and we dream as well. The difference is we have been taught that they're not really important. They're just random firings from a sleeping brain, when in fact, they're the way we connect to where we were before we were born. We come back to our roots, which are not here on the earth plane. We are in the earth, but we are not of the earth. So we go back to our spiritual guides, our deceased loved ones, to where we were before we were born, through our sacred dream doors, and get the information we need in order to be successful here on the earth plane and fulfill our destiny. Even if our parents told us, oh, we just happened in the back seat of that old Ford, we happened on purpose. There were no accidents. We're here for a reason. And because we're human, we get sick. Our body breaks down. Our soul is eternal, but our body can break down, and stress can be a big part of that. And that's where our spirit guides come in to reassure us and let us know that they're with us. They'll guide us. They'll tell us what to eat. They'll tell us what treatments to take. And what I think is really important, and a credit to you, Diane, is that my spirit guides didn't say, oh, go find Swami Wami Ramalama Ding Dong to heal you, because I would have done it. They said, no, you go back to your doctors. So the spirit guides on the other side, and my spirit guides look like Franciscan monks. Yeah, when they walk into my dreams, they got my attention like that. They told me to go back to my doctors. And that's really important. I believe that our higher power is working with the medical field here on the earth plane to come up with a healing that's greater than the sum of its individual parts.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yes, I absolutely agree that there's different ways to manifest your wellness and find the messages that we're receiving from all different angles. I actually have a dream that I remember, which I'm surprised that I remembered it at all.
I told you that would happen.
So back when I was publishing my book and writing it, The Truth About IBS and Anxiety, it was a very stressful time, and I'm very connected with my little one. He's 10 now, but he's a highly sensitive, just like me. And I've noticed as I was writing that book that he was experiencing panic attacks and having trouble sleeping. And when that happened, I wrote a book for him, which I just published, which ends up being a pandemic support book for children with a meditation. But now that I remember the dream, when all these children's books were coming to me and I was writing my book, it was my son and I were in front of a ferry. And for some reason, I placed him on this ferry, and I sat down on the bench, and I was just waiting there on the bench, and he was alone by himself, and the ferry left. And all I remember was I was running around screaming and crazy. How do I get onto this ferry? My child is alone.
Oh, a ferry, not a ferry with wings.
Like a ferry boat. A ferry boat,
okay,
yes.
A ferry boat. Oh my gosh, what a great dream. That's a wonderful dream, Diane, because usually a ferry boat is that which we get on. It's like a car. Our car is our soul. Or our body that houses our soul. And it takes us from one place to another on the earth plane. But a boat is what houses our soul as we travel across the spiritual plane. Rather than driving on a street or a road or a path, it's the path on water, which is spirituality. So you placed your son in a place of spirituality to take his soul on a large ocean of spirituality. And then you took care of him, but you didn't get on there with him. So you were worried, but not at any time would you ever have to worry about his soul on its spiritual journey. You sent him on his spiritual journey with the book and with your protecting of him.
Wow, that is beautiful. I'm so glad that you could give me some insight into that dream.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing.
That's a beautiful dream. That's really nice.
Well, thank you. If I remember any more, I'll definitely reach out and find out. Now, tell me a little bit about your experience with cancer and how you got into writing this book and helping people through those same experiences with dreams.
Well, the first book that I wrote is this one right here. It's called Surviving Cancerland. And I hybrid published this, but then Blackstone Publishing came in and contacted my hybrid publisher, and which was Cypress House. And they said, we want to do the audible for the book. So it's kind of hybrid published and then naturally published using the Audible. And when I was going through being diagnosed with the cancer, finally when I got my doctors to take me seriously and realize that I really did have cancer, because I thought I was a little crazy before that, I went around looking for books that could help me on the spiritual journey of cancer, not the medical journey, because there are a gazillion books out there about, oh, this treatment does this and that treatment does that, and this is how chemo works, and blah, blah, blah. I didn't want to read those. I wanted to know about the spiritual journey of cancer to get me well. I knew the chemo was going to work because my spirit guide said it would. I wanted to know about the spiritual journey and how to work with my dreams. So I started writing every single important dream down in this book. And then I would interpret the dream. And I had survival keys for every chapter at the end of every chapter. Important keys like chapter 23, junkie syndrome or higher vibration, which is kind of an important chapter because what it taught me was when you're in alignment, body and soul, with your spirit, and you go through chemotherapy, rather than getting sicker every time you take chemotherapy, which is what the doctors tell you, your immune system becomes weaker, you feel worse, you get sicker, it starts to tear your body down. When you build your spirit up, I call it the junkie syndrome, where if you were a junkie or addicted to drugs, you would need more drugs each time to get the high you got the time before, because your body is becoming immune to it. Your body is adjusting to it. And that's exactly what happened with the chemotherapy. Each time I would take it, instead of being worse, I was better. And the doctors were going, we don't understand why this is happening. And that's because anyone going through any trauma may recover with less residual negativity by encouraging their body to vibrate at a higher frequency. That's one of the keys. So by focusing on your inner spirit, allowing your spirit guides to guide you, you're going to start to vibrate at that higher frequency. And each time you have to take a treatment, although it's going to work harder on your body, it's going to be like mind over matter. Your spirit will vibrate higher as the medicine tries to bring your body lower, and you'll find a common ground on a higher frequency.
That's a very unique expression. I had never heard of anything like that, but it makes sense because on my journey, I learned the same kind of thing. So I started with the conventional medicine and taking prescriptions and got fed up with that world. And then the last 2 years was really bringing in the mindset and transforming with hypnosis and really connecting the chakras and feeling that flow. And I noticed how much easier it was to assimilate change and for your body to heal and repair and not have so much damage from all this stress that we experience continually.
Yes. Yes, that's exactly what this said. But you can't find books that really help you with that. But you can find lots of medical books that tell you what the chemo's made of, what it's going to do, how it is delivered to the body, blah, 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 blah. I wanted something for my spirit. I wanted something for my soul, and I couldn't find it. So I wrote it. I wrote it. And then when I came down with recurrence, which was shocking because the medical community missed it again. And this time it was a 9 by 11 centimeter recurrence. And it's because they were using mammograms again to watch for recurrence when mammograms didn't work the first time. It's like, hello. But I immediately went to my journal, created this book, got the book published quickly so I could refer to it, and use this throughout my second treatment to keep myself alive, because I don't think anybody thought I was going to live, including me. I didn't really think I was going to live. And so now that I'm doing the Never Alone event with Deepak Chopra, Marianne Williamson, Temple Hayes, all of these huge people, this on the 9th is when I'm going to have my part actually videoed. I'm using the concept that my spirit guides came into my dreams when I thought I was going to die, and I was considering suicide because I had watched my mother die of colon cancer like a year before. And I thought, you know what? I am not going out in a hospital with needles and pain and beeping equipment all around me and a respirator. Not happening. I'm going to go ahead and take my own life. And I went into the bedroom and I laid down on the bed and I cried myself to sleep. And I dreamed that I woke up and there were the 3 monks that are all through this book, the 3 Franciscan monks who were my spirit guides, telling me to go back to the doctors. They were looking down on me as I was sleeping in the bed. And I looked up at them and I said, look, I know why you're here. I know I'm dying. I got it. I'm okay with it. But you may want to warn God before I get up there, because I got some really big bones to pick with him. And you might want to tell him I'm coming. And they kind of laughed and they looked at me and they said, Kat, don't you remember? And I said, remember what? They said, you said before you were born, you wanted to come down here onto the earth plane during a time when our higher power, spirituality, all of that was being taken out of our everyday life and thrown into the closet and the door shut. And science was being worshiped as God. And you were going to show that science only goes so far, and then comes your God. And we told you we'd be with you every step of the way, and we have been. And I looked up at them and I said, what the heck was I smoking up there when I said that? That's crazy. And they just laughed and turned around and walked out of my dream. And I didn't die. I'm still here now. But the point is, we all have a life purpose. And just imagine if you're considering suicide, especially now. Many of us have lost family members. We've lost our job. We've been locked away in a house. Some of us have been locked away in a house with abusive relationships, where we've got our children running around the home. They can't even go outside and play. We're ready to throw that noose over the chandelier and hang ourselves. But the truth of the matter is, what if we chose to be here at this time to do this because we have a message to share? It's not our time to go. We need to connect with our spirit guides to figure out exactly what it is we need to do to continue on our life path, our life purpose. I guess you could almost say this is our cross that we bear. We chose to do it, and we have to see it through. Don't give up before you've completed your purpose, no matter how bad it is. Because remember, in your darkest hour, you're never alone. You got your spirit guides with you. You can meet them through your dreams. Do it. Say hi.
I love that. I'm waiting for them to say hi. But I totally agree that the purpose in our lives, it really fosters us to continue to evolve, grow, and change. I mean, I wanted to write this book 7 years ago when I started my journey, and something kept stopping me. And, health crisis kept happening. And then finally I did it. And it was such a huge accomplishment. And I realized my story needed to be told because there's other people out there that are sick and tired of feeling sick as I did. Sick and tired of being stressed, overwhelmed, having chronic pain, and on tons of prescriptions and surgeries. Because by the time I wrote this book, I had already had 9 surgeries. I'm only 43, 42
Oh my goodness.
right now.
Yeah.
So that's intense. And nobody deserves to feel that crappy inside their body.
Right. So you were sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Absolutely, I was done with it. We have about 5 minutes left. So let's go into, because I know that you have this amazing series called Chaos to Clarity, and I'm actually being featured in one of the ones coming up. And I know you like my
Yes.
story. So just
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, so Chaos to Clarity is the first book in a series done by Sacred Stories Publishing. So this is Sacred Stories of Transformational Change, Chaos to Clarity. Now you're in the second book, which is Sacred Stories of Transformational Joy, Crappy to Happy, because if there's no other way to describe what we're going through right now in the world, it is crappy to happy, but there is happy in there. And so your story was, I was acting as the editor on your story before we actually send it to the professional editors. And I loved your story. Absolutely loved it. So we kind of connected that way. And so you're going to be in the second book of this series, Crappy to Happy, which should be out in October. And so all of your listeners right now and your audience, I hope you will go and check that book out, because Diane's story is in there. And if you've got a crappy to happy story, you can go to Sacred Stories Publishing and click on where it says book project and see if your book is accepted. And you'll be in there with Diane and me.
That's amazing. I had no idea. So, they told me about it. They sent me the email. I applied, and then we connected, and it was just such an awesome experience. And I loved sharing my story. And we talked a little bit about COVID-19 and this whole pandemic, and how supporting nurses supporting the community, how they experience so much stress. And in light of this virus and how much stress that they're experiencing at the bedside, I've actually been working on creating hypnosis meditations for my YouTube channel, just to share with people, because I know that nurses have to be feeling tons of stress. And not only that, the panic that they must be experiencing from having to wear that mask all day long. I have fears of being enclosed in spaces and claustrophobia. And the mask is one of those things that I just hated wearing. So I can't even imagine how they're feeling right now.
Our heroes are the doctors and the nurses, putting their lives in danger to take care of everybody else. They're just amazing. They're such high frequency souls. They vibrate at such a high frequency. So, I can't thank you and the rest of the medical community, all of them, all the way down to the janitors, all of them working in those hospitals with people who have a disease that's so bad, you can catch it so easily and die from it so quickly. Fortunately, we're coming out of it. I believe that this happened for a reason. I'll be darned if I know what it is, but I'm going to definitely ask about it in my dreams. But I have a feeling one of the reasons why this happened is because the world needed to wake up to the chaos that was going on in another country and actually bring them in alignment with the rest of the world, because it's just too dangerous to be messing with diseases like that. Because I called it a Frankenbug, where that virus was manipulated. I really believe it was. I believe that's going to come out. And it got loose like a little Frankenstein. And not only did it take out its handlers, but then it started its march across the world. Hey, the world's too small. We can't do that anymore. This is our bubonic plague. We can't have that. It's like the world is so small, we're all living in the same block. And you can't be cooking crack in your basement and let your house blow up and catch everybody else's house on fire. You can't do it anymore.
No, it's really, I think, a really big awakening for us, and how we impact everyone in our community, everyone around us, and really to bring us back and connect us with nature. Because I think a lot of the time we get stuck in the hustle and bustle of our lives, and we don't even realize everything that's impacting the stress in our family, our unity and connection with our loved ones, and taking time to breathe and just relax outside. We don't do those things on a typical day. So I think really this crisis was not only, yes, an awakening that, there's big things that we need to focus on, and also a time for us to appreciate everyone that we're around and we love in a very different way than we're used to.
I agree. I couldn't agree more. Absolutely. And another thing that this taught us is, Americans are great for respecting other people's space and their business, but we've suddenly learned that if we know what you're doing, you've made it our business. And we must respond now. We can't turn a blind eye because we're all interconnected. I call it quantum entanglement. Our minds, our thoughts, our dreams, our lives, our energy are all intertwined. We can't ignore it.
Absolutely. I love that. And now we're going to go on a break and we're going to talk more about this quantum entanglement that you were sharing and more about your books. We'll take a brief break. Aloha. This is Diane. Stay tuned. Aloha and welcome back. This is Diane Vig and I'm interviewing Kat. And we were talking about dreams in the first half of the episode and her experience with cancer. And I just found out that she is a Reiki master, and I want her to share a little bit about that because I'm learning this whole new realm and I still don't know a lot about Reiki. Tell me about that.
Well, I am a Reiki master, and I learned to become a Reiki master that was able to do distance healing when I was going through my first cancer, because I needed to not only heal myself, but I was being contacted by so many other people going through cancer. I have no idea how they would even find me, but I found that the quickest way to heal myself was to focus on others, and by healing them, I healed myself, which is the whole platform for Reiki. And so I started testing, because I'm a tester. I'm one of these people, I don't take anything at face value. I just don't. So I would say things to them like, okay, I'm going to send you energy healing, Reiki energy healing, but I'm not going to tell you what time I'm going to send it. And I want you to tell me, I want you to mark down when you feel different and what it is you're feeling. And then I would call them the next day and they would say, I know exactly what time you turned that Reiki healing on me. It was at 10:15 at night and I got hot from head to toe. I was sweating. I had to take some of my clothes off. And I was like, yep, that was me. So when I actually heal someone, send them distance healing, they get very hot because they start drawing energy from the universe. Because with Reiki healing, you're not taking the energy from you. You're taking it from your higher power. It's being sent into you through you. So you're getting that current and you're sending it out to someone else who then receives that double whammy current. And it's amazing how they can feel so healed and have incredible dreams and connect with their guides.
That's amazing. I've actually experienced distance Reiki from one of my friends. We work together in the nonprofit Miami Family Friendly Hands with special needs kids. I had no idea that she did Reiki. She does all these other things. And before my presentation, because I was on stage a few months ago, I was like, look, I'm really stressed out. I don't feel aligned. I have to get on stage in front of a bunch of women. I want all my energy to be flowing properly. Can you connect with me? And she connected with me and she got messages too, visual messages while she was doing the Reiki. And she had actually premonitions about this color green, which I was wearing a green dress. I had a green stone. So it was really weird. I felt really relaxed. I didn't feel heat when she connected to me. But I did feel really relaxed and I was basically falling to sleep already. Like I was laying down in the bed and she connected to me. So sometimes you connect to people when they're doing stuff?
I do. I can connect to them when they're doing stuff. Also, Reiki gives you the energy that you need. And since maybe you were producing a little too much, you were vibrating too high, her energy actually helped you release some of that energy. So instead of getting hot, you may have cooled down and just settled down. Whereas usually when I was working on people who were in treatment for cancer or some other disease, they're low. They're vibrating low. They need the energy. So when that energy comes in, they'll suddenly feel energized and hot, like they've been running a marathon or running for a mile. And they, they use as much as they need, but never too much. It's always perfect just for their needs.
That's really interesting. I love the whole concept and I'm definitely going to learn more about it. I also love that you use your book to heal yourself because here's my book, The Truth About IBS and Anxiety, and I keep it at my bedside. And when I feel stressed out or anxious, I'm like, okay, what page am I supposed to be reading right now to help me connect with the girl that wrote the book and the pain that I was in that point. So I love that you do the same thing with your book and and just use
Mm-hmm.
inspiration from there.
Yeah, so with my first book, this is actually basically my diary. I would write in my diary journal every single day. I had a day journal, I had a night journal, and I transposed it into a book. And one of the reasons that is so important for anybody going through any stress, especially now with COVID or anything else you're going through, is when you think to yourself, things aren't getting better. I'm not getting better. You go back and you read the beginning of your journal, like 2 weeks, 3 weeks earlier, and you go, oh my gosh, I was such a mess. I've come so far. And that's really reassuring. So if you're someone who doesn't really know how to journal, or you've never journaled, or you have how to journal, definitely get my book. It's on Amazon. It's not expensive. Or if you don't want to read it, you can always get the Audible and see exactly how I journal, because that's how I put it together in the book, and that's why people love it so much. Some of the chapters are very short. They're only a few, and so you can see anniversary places where you actually did a huge jump. But if you don't go back and read where you came from, you don't know where you are or where you're going. It's your GPS.
Oh, absolutely. I love journals. I have a gazillion journals. This is my newest journal, but I
Mm-hmm.
had, through writing the book, I think I have like 5. And each one's different, and my handwriting has changed and evolved.
Yeah. Yeah, isn't it amazing how your handwriting changes? Like sometimes it's your inner child writing, and it's like this third grader wrote it, and then you've got this professor writing, and it's like you can hardly understand what they're saying. It's so advanced, and you're like, I didn't even know I knew that word. Yeah, I love journals.
Yes, it's amazing. I love the experience, and I do it every single day. So I was looking at your website, and I saw that you've been on TV.
Mhm.
How was this experience, and like, how did you even accomplish this? You were on a doctor's show, right? You were on several
Yeah,
shows.
and Dr. Oz.
Dr. Oz, I love him. How did that
Mhm.
pan out? What happened?
Well, he was doing a segment on dreams, precognitive and like sixth sense dreams. And his producers found my website, same one that, that you're on. And they saw that I had these precognitive dreams with these monks that came in that told me I had breast cancer, when the medical community was saying, no, no, you don't. You are healthy. Your blood tests are healthy. Your physical exam is healthy. Your mammogram is healthy. And these monks were coming in saying, no, no, they're not. You have breast cancer. Go back and try and convince your doctors to do a second set of tests. So what Dr. Oz did was he contacted all my doctors, which I didn't realize. And so when I was sitting on his stage with him by myself, he kept me on for the whole hour. Usually you do a segment and then they take you off, they bring somebody else on. He'd grab me by the hand and take me to the next set and put me down next to him. And then he'd bring somebody else on, and he kept me the whole time. And he waived my paperwork that I had to sign off on the paperwork saying, yes, he was allowed to contact my doctors and talk to my doctors. And he waived it at the audience, and he says, I vetted her. I spoke with every single one of her doctors. And one of the doctors actually sent me a video from their phone, a phone video saying everything that she's saying is true. And that's actually on my website. That's Dr. Helen Colin. And she was my plastic surgeon because I had to have a double mastectomy, and I had like 21 surgeries over that time, lumpectomy, lymph nodes out, you name it. I'd had it all. And so she sent him a video saying, yes, this is all really, really true. So it was great. He's a wonderful man. I felt very, very comfortable on his show. It's a top, you know, everything was done top notch. The producers took us around. I had 2 girlfriends with me. We went to New York. We stayed at the hotel. They sent a car. I brought my friends with me to the studio. They put them in the audience. We had a party the whole time, and it was great.
I love that. That's so awesome that you had that unique experience and got on their show.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that your doctor shared your story, because that's actually one of the things that I want to do. I'm pushing through my resistance, is I want to interview my doctors, because they're all completely shocked at how much I have transformed, even to the point that I want to go back to the geneticist that diagnosed me, because when she diagnosed me with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which is a syndrome that impacts every single part of your body, every organ. That's why I ended up having so many surgeries and injuries. She was like, wow, you're 80% better. Like, you're on the right track. Everything you're doing is right. If she would see me now, it's a completely different person from the girl that she had there, because I still had chronic pain at that point. So I think it's beautiful that you have a video from your doctor, because that's definitely something that I want to do.
Yeah. So the other reason I'm hoping to possibly get back on Dr. Oz soon, because I connected with a doctor out of Duke University Medical. He was chief of radiology at the time, Dr. Larry Burke. And he was finding that a lot of women who were coming in to him for radiation treatment were saying, he would say to them, you know, because he would have to fill out the paperwork, how was your breast cancer found? You know, mammogram, physical, did you find it? What happened? And they were saying, we found our breast cancer in our dreams. We had spirit guides come into our dreams and tell us, or we would have a precognitive dream that told us, or a deceased loved one would come into our dreams and tell us we had breast cancer, despite either having had a healthy mammogram or not even knowing that we had it, because we didn't even have anything. And then going to the doctor and having a second set of tests that confirmed, the pathology reports would actually confirm that, yes, we really did have breast cancer. So he decided that there were 19 women that he already had that he was following. And he thought, I need one more to make an actual study out of Duke University Medical. So he said, he went online, and my book, The Surviving Cancerland, came up. So he read it. He goes, I got to get in touch with this girl. I've got to. So finally, by hook or by crook, he contacted me and he said, will you be in my research, part of my research study? And I said, sure. So for the next year, I was part of his research. And at the end of that time, he said, okay, I've sent everything into the medical journals. Everything's getting published. And I said, that's wonderful, Larry. Now what are you going to do with all that information? And he said, well, I don't know. I've got it all published in medical journals. I said, yeah, but what about the people out there? What about other women who are being sent home from their test results that are saying they're healthy when they know they're not, and they're believing their doctors and coming back 6 months later to cancer all over their bodies, which is what happened with one of the women in his study. And he said, well, what do you suggest? And I said, how about, and you can see I use this book all the time for all my radio shows. I said, how about we write a book together? And so we wrote the book, Dreams That Can Save Your Life, Early Warning Signs of Cancer and Other Diseases. We've got stories in here from people who had diabetes. They had dreams that they were becoming diabetic, and they were young women. And finally they went and got tested and found out, yes, they were pre-diabetic, and they had to change their whole life. And there's another section in this book that I know you'll love, Diane. It's called Dreaming for Others. It's really special. And in this section, it's other people connecting through that quantum spirituality and that quantum entanglement I was talking about, where your mother might have a dream about you having breast cancer, call you up and say, you need to go to the doctor because I just had a dream last night that you have breast cancer. And the daughters would say, no, you can't dream for me. You know, all the research shows that when you have a dream, it's only about you. It can't be about me. Yet the mothers would persist. The doctors would go to the doctor. And guess what? They had breast cancer. And that's where quantum entanglement comes in. Yes, the dreams you have are about you to a degree, your daughter, your friends, the people that you've only just met might be people from a previous lifetime, and you're still connected through quantum entanglement. And you can dream in tandem. You can share dreams for each other.
Wow, that is completely new to me. I had no idea that that was possible. Very cool. So tell me a story, maybe one really powerful dream that someone brought to you, or maybe you had,
Okay.
that you can share.
Okay, I'm going to share a dream with you out of this book because it's so bizarre. I just shared this dream on a paranormal show. Can you believe it? Some of these dreams are really paranormal. And so I'm on a lot of paranormal radio shows and video shows. So this dream, and Loki, my Siamese is here, so you're probably going to see him in a minute. He knows that you're on that on the show here, Diane, and he's going to come up and say hi. So the name of this dream, it's on page 40. I'm sorry, chapter 40 of this book, which is page 208. If you happen to have the book and you're watching this and you want to open to it. It's called Silver Spaceship Aliens Saved My Life. And it was by Dana Anderson. And at age 29, Dana is a single mother with a 2-year-old child. And she's diagnosed with stage 4 uterine cancer. And although she was going through chemotherapy and had all the usual procedures to save her life, the prognosis was not good. And finally, the doctors said to her, "We've done everything that we can do, Dana. There's nothing left. Go home, get your life in order, and find someone to raise your 2-year-old." She was heartbroken and she was shocked. So she did. She went home. She's like, how am I going to tell my 2-year-old that they have to go live with somebody else because I'm going away forever? It was a horrible, horrible time. And that night, she has this dream. She falls asleep and she dreams that she wakes up when there's a big silver spaceship laying in her backyard. And these aliens get out of the silver spaceship and she walks out to them in the backyard. And they walk up to her and they say to her, they're little tiny gray aliens. And they say to her, what you need is interferon. Remember this, interferon. And they open up her hand and they put a couple of little pills in her hand. They say, now you go back to your doctor, sort of like me. You go back to your doctor and you tell your doctor you need interferon. And they turn around and they get back in the big silver spaceship and they take off out of her backyard. And she goes back in, gets back into bed, falls asleep, wakes up and goes, was that a dream or was that reality? But it's so strong, the dream is so strong and she's so desperate. She goes back to her doctor the next day and she tells him, she says, look, I have nothing to lose here. I had a dream last night. Can you hear that gardener beside me? Yeah, wouldn't you know? I mean, I'm in a huge country club complex and I have to have the only gardener in the whole place in my bushes right now. So anyhow, she goes to her doctor and she says, look, I had this dream last night. I had this spaceship landed in my backyard. And I went out and talked to these little gray aliens. And they handed me this drug called interferon. And they told me that's what I needed in order to live. And she said her doctor turned white. She sat there staring at her and she thought it was because the dream was so bizarre. He goes, you know, that drug is not available yet, but it's still being, you know, manufactured and it's still being tried on people. But I think I can get my hands on some. We have nothing to lose. So he said, I'm going to get you some. He got her some interferon. She took it. And Diane, that was 20 years ago. Her daughter has gotten married. She just miraculously got well.
Wow, that is
and
intense.
Now all the stories in this book, Larry and I had to have the pathology reports. We had to have the confirmation, or in a tradition, Simon and Schuster would not have published the book. So it's all true.
Wow, that's amazing. I don't remember. I imagine I had a dream back when I started this whole journey, because it was a really difficult time in my life. My husband was traveling constantly. I was super sick. And I remember this one day where I was on the couch. My little one, which was my oldest, was about 5. My youngest was about 2.5. And the 5-year-old was taking care of the little one and taking care of me, bringing me Gatorade and stuff. And I remembered after that day that I didn't want them to be experiencing life in that way, for them being taken care of mom instead of mom having fun with them and being able to pay attention to them. So I imagine that there was a big, powerful dream there too. I just don't know what it was.
Well, maybe it was that, I really believe, from my dream with the monks that said, you remember you chose to come down here at this time and do this. Maybe your children chose to come down to be with you at that time and get you over that hump and help you live so that they could rejoice in your life as well. I often think that our children choose to come down and be with us because maybe they were our parents in a previous life. I so believe in reincarnation.
That's beautiful. Well, we'll definitely continue to learn more about all of these experiences as I develop dreams at some point. Um, I think you had several books, right? So you talked about the dream ones, you talked about the cancer.
Yeah,
I
and
see
then
you
the
were on.
Chaos to Clarity. So that
Yes.
was it. Yeah.
Oh,
No,
okay.
I've been in quite a few other compilation books. I just wrote the foreword for a book with Court Davies called One Habit, and I'm in their event as well. And the book is full of stage 4 cancer survivors. The whole book. They're all survivors. And they're talking about the one habit they used for life to get them through the worst times of their life. And my one habit, of course, is keeping a dream journal. That my journal saved my life because I was able to connect with my spirit guides. They all have in that book one habit that they share to get through crises in life and keep them on their life purpose now.
Wow. So your dream journal, when you write down, is it like shorthand, like little notes, or it's a whole paragraph?
Sometimes it's just a short paragraph with little notes. I have actually in my book, in this book here, Dreams That Can Save Your Life, I have a section in there for 7 steps to remember your dreams. And I use the acronym SHOW DREAM. So sometimes I will write maybe 4 or 5 sentences. Other times I write 4 or 5 pages. So it's so dream, set your intention, organize yourself before you go to bed, dream. Know you're going to dream. Everything dreams. You just don't remember it. And then E, what are the emotions that you're feeling? A, add to it. M, what do those mean? Those things in your dream that you underline, what do they mean to you? So that's so dream. Oh, I left the R out. Remain in your bed in the same position you were in when you wake up, so that you can slowly come out of your dream and take it with you. Imagine like kind of pulling it out. If you hop out of bed, you're going to lose your dream. It's like smoke, poof, gone. So come out, try and stay in your position in bed as long as you can. Slowly open your eyes, bring that dream out with you into the waking world, and then write it down.
So this is a practice that you would do every night before you go to bed?
Yes, I make sure I've got all those things done. I go through those steps, and that's how I can remember my dream and be able to write them down and learn my dream language, because we're all born dreamers. Everything that's alive dreams. But more than that, we have a dream language. We're bilingual. When we're babies, we're bilingual. We're babbling away in our dream language. We dream all the time. We sleep a lot. And then as we get older, we forget that language and we have to relearn it. And that's where our spirit guides and our guardian angels come in, and they help us with that language again so that we can speak to them in the dream world. Just like you almost need to learn the medical language when you go to speak to your doctors. That's one of the things I talk about in dreams that can save your life. As an e-patient, go online, figure out the language that the doctors understand. Don't go in and speak to them in airy-fairy terms. They're not gonna listen. Speak to them in their language. So when we're trying to get information from our dreams, we need to speak dream language to understand it and to speak with our guides. It's pretty amazing, because our dream language speaks to us in signs, symbols, and sometimes words, but a lot of pictures.
I love that. Well, I started one of those steps a few days ago. Every night after I finish my notes, when I'm watching TV, I say, tonight I will dream. So I got to follow all the other steps to see if I dream tonight.
Great. You know, that's the great way to set your intention. Your intention is, and I say this, you know, set your intention to tonight I will dream. And if you are dreaming, maybe then what you need to do is set your intention to meet your spirit guides. That is always so cool. All you have to do is ask them to come. They will. You're their job. They're so happy when they can connect with you through dreams and have that telephone line going. Oh my gosh, now they're able to do their job versus having books fall off of bookshelves. Have you trip over something and look at it and go, oh, you know, why did I trip over that? They don't have to do that anymore. They can actually speak to you in your dreams and have you understand.
I love it. Well, for sure, I'm doing that tonight and setting my intention to wake up and remember my dreams. We're getting ready to wrap up. So let them know how they can reach out to you and find your books.
Great. You know, this has been such fun. Thank you, Diane. This has really been fun. You can go to my website, thequeenofdreams.com. You can put that in the search bar, or you can go to www.Kathleen such a mouthful. Just type in the Queen of Dreams. And if you look up in the top right-hand corner, you'll see a little button there. It's for my Dream Vision 7 radio network show. You can watch that every Tuesday night, every other Tuesday night, the first and third Tuesday of every month at 6. And there's a free gift for you there. It says free gift. It's my 101 Dream course, and it's a video course. It's yours for free.
Download. Oh, I love it. I'm going to download it and check it out. Thank you for joining me. I can't wait to venture and be on your podcast soon. This is Diane Vick, Goddess Unleashed. Aloha.